David Warner is being investigated over claims of an unprovoked attack.
Ricky was found unconscious outside a Sydney pub.
I don't know if there's a cultural problem, but there are obviously problems.
I've actually got the heaviest head in the West Australian squad. It's been measured.
Now that the trial is over, Ben is keen to get back to cricket being his sole focus. Thank you.
Cricket is more than just what happens on the field. It's what happens after hours as well. The clean angelic whites at day and the darkness on the other side of town at night. Cricket and scandal, they go together. They always have.
It's a boring sport. It's a very boring sport. 11 men standing around doing nothing. So obviously at some point they'll get bored. So that's why most scandals occur late in the night.
I was just punched in the face, and that's basically all I can remember from the whole evening.
Now I know the Bourbon and Beefsteak like the back of my hand. That's what got me started. But it didn't stop there. I've ridden in the pedalo that Freddie Flintoff stole and tried to take out to sea to join the Navy. I've shuffled the deck of cards that Doug Walters used to lose someone else's house. I was there in Cape Town when the sandpaper tampering went down. I've got a nose for scandal because I know that it matters. These are the historical moments that shape our game.
People talk about batting and bowling and fielding, but I think really we all know that a well-connected punch is just as important as a beautiful cover drive.
Infamous punching incidents decided Ashes series. I mean, I'd go as far as to say that the results of these matches have come down to 2 single punches.
There's a new trio, a triplet, a holy trinity of scandal that has influenced modern Ashes history. I needed to find a man, a legend in this world, Adam Collins, to help me connect.
I view it as a bit of a holy trinity type situation, Jeff, where these are venues which have changed the course of cricket history as we know it. I did the Prelude, I did the Bourbon and Beefsteak back in 2007 because of Ricky Ponting's infamous night there on the Source. I thought that as a youngster going to Sydney for the first time that I really should familiarise myself and take in the essence of Ricky Ponting, who was my favourite player growing up. How could I not want to visit somewhere like that? So I was already in the headspace. I already knew what it was to be on a pilgrimage of this type. And then a couple of years ago, when I was in Birmingham for the first time, the Walkabout. That's the first thing I did when I arrived at the airport. The first thing I did when I'm going to the Walkabout. I'm going to go there and think what I would do if I saw someone wearing a beard, which I thought they were taking the piss out of Hashim Amla. How would I respond if I were Joe Root in that situation? What would I do if I were David Warner?
Obviously it occurred that I struck Joe Root in the face, and obviously I'm not going to be playing cricket for a while at the moment. So
it's the butterfly effect, isn't it? That moment in time sparks something that happens in a future Ashes series. Who's at the centre? Well, a few of them actually, but definitely David Warner.
David Warner is a plumber's son. He understands what it is to be an underdog. When he punched Joe Root, we all celebrated. That was our Independence Day. You need to embrace the past to see clearly into the future. To disregard the past is folly, and I'm not going to disregard the past influence that Ricky Ponting and Johnny Bairstow, David Warner, Joe Root, all these actors in this pilgrimage of sorts, and Ben Stokes. And I remembered it as clear as day when it came through the news reports that Ben Stokes had been in a fracas in Bristol on a Sunday night. I said to my friend, I know where he's been. He's been at the place that's missing a vowel. He's been to Mbargo. And lo and behold, he had. I went and stood at the front and just took it all in and remembered the glittering walls and the tiles and the sawdust and the glassware or plasticware or Tupperware maybe you could even call it. And I just went back and felt that was part of something I need to do for myself. And from down there, what we see is the
Mbargo. Standing on that footpath outside, I felt the power. This was where Ben Stokes was denied re-entry to the nightclub and subsequently decided to punch someone in the head about 15 times while being videoed across the street. Stokes. He was kicked out of the 17-18 Ashes and England lost by an avalanche. How things might have gone differently if he hadn't decided to wail on some random guy's head.
His intervention that night has already cost Ben his place on an Ashes tour.
I think that's all that really left now is that you go and do it for yourself. I've had my experience. Ben's had his, Joe's had his, David's had his, Johnny's had his. I've had mine. Now you've got to have yours. You've got to do it on your own. Maybe headbutt someone. if you want to replicate what happened with Johnny Bairstow. Maybe weigh your head on the scales before you go to feel as though you've got some link to Cameron Bancroft. You've got to do what's right for you to tap into the slipstream of those that have come before you. I think when you go to the Walkabout, when you step foot in there for the first time, you're going to see some things. You're going to see some people you might not otherwise run into in your life. But by sharing this fabled territory with Warner and Root, it's all on this neat timeline. And I think that when you get there, you'll understand where you fit in it as well.
As soon as I walked into the Walkabout, I could feel it. It was like Bourbon and Beefsteak times 10. It felt like Davey Warner was there. Such a weird feeling, like someone else's essence overtaking you. This is why we come to these places, to get that connection. I could feel it in my bones, especially the ones in my hand. They were tingling, making me want to clench, swing. Some people don't understand why we do this. There are always hurdles to overcome, ignorance to be surmounted. They don't understand that the more times I connect with this, the more likely I'll be able to connect with it in future, ahead of time. I'll tell you a joke. 3 cricketers walk into a bar. It's not a joke. I'm already there, watching.
Of course, you look further down the line when little Titch Freeman, tiny Titch Freeman, he managed to punch W.G. Grace in the beard. This caused a massive furore. Crucial single moments of punches that have been going on for time immemorial. I think even the Earl of Derby is said to have punched the Duke of Warwick's horse, but just behind the ear.
History is a big...
Anyway, punching, everyone knows they're punching. Is that enough? Yeah.